My name is Thomas Harper. Tom, most people called me. I'm 98 years old now. Back then, winter of '44, I was 19, private first class, rifleman, 101st Airborne. Yeah, those guys. Funny thing is, when you're 19, you don't feel like history. You feel cold, hungry, scared. Mostly scared. People ask me what it was like. They expect something heroic. Truth is, it was mostly mud, smoke, and trying not to die. But I remember it clear as yesterday. Some nights, I wish I didn't. We were told the Ardennes would be quiet. Rest sector, they said. After Holland, we were beat to hell. Half the guys had trench foot. Nobody had dry socks. We just wanted sleep without shells landing nearby. The forest looked peaceful when we rolled in. Tall pine trees, snow hanging off the branches, little Belgian houses with stone walls and smoke coming out the chimneys. It almost looked like Christmas cards my mom used to send. I remember thinking, maybe the war's slowing down. God, what a stupid thought. It started before dawn.
The Ardennes Forest, December 1944. Snow was falling, thick and quiet. We thought it was the quiet before the end, the final push into Germany. We were wrong. My name is Arthur, and I was a private in the 106th Infantry Division. They called us the Golden Lions, but we were mostly kids barely out of training. Green, they called us, and we were about to be thrown into the biggest, bloodiest battle the American Army would ever fight. The morning of December 16th started like any other, cold, so cold your breath turned to ice crystals in the air. We were dug in along a stretch called the Schnee Eifel, a wooded ridge we were told was a ghost front. A quiet sector, perfect for new guys like us to get our feet wet. We'd been joking around, trying to stay warm, dreaming of a hot meal and a Christmas back home. Then, the world exploded. Trees that had stood for centuries were turned into splinters in seconds. The air filled with the whistle and crack of artillery, a sound that gets into your bones and stays there. For hours, it didn't stop. We huddled in our foxholes, heads down, praying. We couldn't see anything, just the constant flashes of orange and red through the swirling snow. When the shelling finally eased, the silence was almost worse. It was eerie. Then, through the mist and the falling snow, we saw them. Figures, ghosts in white winter camouflage, emerging from the woods. Hundreds of them, thousands, they weren't ghosts. They were German soldiers, a full-scale panzer assault. We were told the German army was broken, on its last legs. What we saw was something else entirely. They came at us with everything they had. Tiger tanks, their cannons spitting fire, rolled through the trees like unstoppable monsters. We were outnumbered, outgunned. Our rifles felt like toys against their armor. Communications were cut almost immediately. We were isolated, pockets of resistance fighting a desperate battle for survival. My buddy, a kid from Ohio named Sam, was right next to me. We laid down fire, trying to slow them down, but they just kept coming. It was a wave, a tide of steel and men that you couldn't stop. We were ordered to fall back, but there was nowhere to go. The German offensive had punched a massive hole in our lines, surrounding entire regiments. We were caught in what would later be called the bulge. For 2 days we fought. We ran. We fought again. We ran out of ammunition. We ran out of food. The cold was a constant enemy, gnawing at our fingers and toes. Frostbite was taking as many men as the bullets were. I remember watching our officers trying to make sense of it, their faces grim. They were just as lost as we were. The sheer scale of the attack was something no one had prepared for. We were part of the 106th, and 2 of our regiments, nearly 7,000 men, were forced to surrender. It was the largest mass surrender of U.S. troops in the European theater. We were the lucky ones, the ones who managed to break out, but we left so many behind. We eventually fell back to a town called St. Vith. It was a crucial crossroads, and we were told to hold it at all costs. By then, we were a mix of units, stragglers from a dozen different companies, all thrown together. We held St. Vith for as long as we could, turning it into a fortress of rubble. Every street, every building was a fight. The battle for that small Belgian town was a microcosm of the larger struggle, desperate, brutal, and fought with incredible courage by men who had every reason to break. The turning point, for me, came during the defense of a small bridge. We were down to our last few rounds. A German tank was rumbling towards us, its machine guns spraying bullets everywhere. We thought it was over. Then, out of nowhere, we heard a different sound. The roar of American planes. The skies had finally cleared. P-47 Thunderbolts swooped down, rockets blazing. General Patton's Third Army, famously turning north in a feat of incredible logistics, began to push back. The tide was slowly, painfully turning. We were relieved, pulled from the front lines. We were exhausted, hollowed-out shells of the boys we were just a week before. I looked at the faces of the survivors. We were old men in teenagers' bodies. When we finally got a hot meal, I cried, not because of the fighting or the fear, but because of a simple cup of hot coffee. It was the first moment of warmth and safety I'd felt in weeks. It was a reminder of a normal world that felt a million miles away. The Battle of the Bulge lasted for over a month. It cost America over 80,000 casualties. It was a brutal, desperate gamble by Hitler, and it failed. But the cost was immense. I lost friends. I saw things no person should ever have to see. I carry the ghosts of the Ardennes with me every day. People call us the greatest generation. They talk about our bravery, and yes, there was bravery. But what I remember most is the fear, and the cold, and the determination to just survive one more minute, one more hour. We weren't heroes, we were just kids trying to do our duty, caught in the jaws of history. And for those of us who came home, we had a new duty, to remember, to tell the story, to make sure no one ever forgets the price that was paid in the snows of that terrible winter. Thank you for listening. Please, never forget.
You know what I remember most now? Not the shooting, not the explosions. It's little stuff. Steam coming off coffee in the cold, sharing one cigarette between three guys, someone humming a Christmas song off-key, laughing at nothing because if you didn't laugh, you'd break. That's what sticks, the human parts, not the glory. When people thank me for my service, I nod. But honestly, I just survived. That's all most of us did, survived. Came home, tried to live normal lives with ghosts sitting at the dinner table. Sometimes I still wake up thinking I hear artillery. My wife used to shake me and say, "Tom, you're safe. Safe." Funny word. Took me 50 years to believe it. But if you're asking what Bastogne was like, it was cold. It was loud. It was terrifying. And it was 19-year-old boys pretending to be men while the world burned around them. And somehow, we held. Not because we were fearless. Because we didn't want the guy next to us to die alone. That's the truth. Not flags, not speeches. Just each other. That's what kept us there. That's what got me home. And that's why, even now, I still remember Eddie's laugh in the snow.